Welcome to Ellis Beetle Magazine.
A beautiful way to boost your brain. Give your mind a peaceful escape with Beetle Go puzzles. Did you know that solving puzzles can improve focus, reduce stress, and sharpen your problem-solving skills? It's a meditative activity that allows you to unplug and recharge. Our puzzles feature unique nature-inspired designs from stunning national parks, transforming your mental wellness routine into a work of art. Take a break from the noise and piece together some tranquility. Relax your mind and challenge your brain. Discover the collection at beetlego.com. That's beetle-go.com.
Beetle go, get up and go.
Down to Cameron's car lot, where your dream ride awaits.
Where your nightmares come to life.
New, old, vintage, or just for parts, we've got it all. From ghastly ghouls to frightful phantoms. Are you a fan of the classics?
The curse of the Juju will follow you.
We boast an extensive collection of vintage beauties, each carrying a tale of the golden era of motoring. But that's not all. Brand new car models are lined up too, ready to roar on the open road.
He is the Juju Man, and he will take you.
Whether you're looking for style, speed, or a family ride, we've got options that'll make your heart race. Perhaps you're a DIY enthusiast? Take a stroll through our junkyard and uncover hidden treasures for your next project. This is Kelvin Cameron III, and my family has been serving the town of Brierie for 3 generations. Whether you run on gas, electric, or looking for a hybrid, just think of Cameron's car lot. Your breakthrough experience.
Don't worry about payments or financing because the Juju Man will get you and you will die and we will resell your parts.
Some of these things pass through, and some of them, well, they decide to stay. They come when the leaf falls, you understand? Brierie's like a freeway. Anyhow, to get to it, we've been sipping on this strange juice for a very long time. A little sip will do you. Just a tip and sip. And now, no wrinkles, aches, or aging. And that's how I ended up here, telling you this story. Now, since I've told you my story, I'm going to tell you how you even heard about Brierie and why you're here. Did you know there are over 278 million cars registered in America? Try it. And the both of you were driving at the same time in different parts of the country when you heard over your radio about the Fall Festival here in the town of Brierie. I can look at your faces and tell that I'm right. Now, I'm sure that the both of you went straight to the internet and searched for it. Couldn't find it. But golly geez, when you got in your car, it came up on your GPS, did it not? The things technology have done to this town. Worrisome. So you get a little time off from your jobs and you follow that GPS to town, and kind of strange that both of you showed up at the same time right after the first fall leaf. You remember a few years ago? Well, I see you. I get you the handbook, get you all set up. And don't you find it a little bizarre that we were able to get you out of those cars and get you into the city vehicles rather quickly? We offered you a job. You accepted. You did the training courses, and then you got deputized. All by design, my friends. What you didn't know was that you were in explicit danger. Some people never make it this far. And they end up stranded out there on the roads at night and at the wrong time. You see, the car you were driving, or should I say cars, they have the juju on it. That's right. They have the juju on it, the Cameron's juju. Understand?
The Haunted Tales of Brierie, Curse of the Juju Man, by Samuel Kelly. The Quinn family had no connection to Thornwick Forest. Their cabin, tucked away at the edge of the ancient woods just past the Brierie County line, symbolized the fresh start Brian Quinn believed his family needed. City life had worn them down, and here they could embrace a quieter, simpler existence, or so Brian thought. He quickly grew fond of the crackle of wood smoke and the crisp bite of early mornings. Melinda found solace in the peaceful seclusion, a welcome contrast to their former chaos. But Jack, their wide-eyed 5-year-old son, wasn't as easily convinced. Small for his age and shy by nature, Jack clung to Buzz, his well-worn stuffed rabbit, as if it were his shield from the unfamiliar. The local whispers didn't help ease his discomfort. "Stay out of the forest after dark," the townsfolk warned. "And for the love of God, steer clear of the Cameron's car lot." Brian brushed off these ominous cautions with the casual arrogance of an outsider. He enjoyed ghost stories but never put stock in them. What he couldn't have known was just how deeply Thornwick's curse ran. Generations ago, the Camerons, the wealthiest family in Brierie, had struck a dark pact with an enigmatic figure known only as the Juju Man. The details of the deal were as murky as the fog that often blanketed Thornwick. Some whispered that the Cameron patriarch had sacrificed his daughter to gain untold prosperity. Others claimed he sought power, vengeance, or both. Whatever the truth, the bargain carried a terrible cost. The Juju Man cursed a swath of the Cameron's land, weaving its malignant influence into everything it touched. Lifeless metals, crackling radios, even the gleaming chrome of car hood ornaments became vessels for its dark power. And once the curse latched onto you, it never truly let go. Strange happenings at the cabin. Every night Jack heard it, a faint voice calling his name, neither loud nor close but distinct. It drifted on the cool breeze through his cracked bedroom window.
Jack.
Clutching Buzz, his fearless stuffed rabbit, Jack would burrow deeper beneath his quilted blankets and squeeze his eyes shut. But the voice lingered in his dreams, soft, coaxing, impossible to ignore. The discoveries began innocently enough. A small hand-carved figure placed just outside the door one morning. A crude, doll-like thing with empty, staring holes for eyes. Another day, a satchel appeared, tied neatly with twine, its contents strange and foreboding. A bundle of brittle herbs, a sharp sliver of bone, and a trail of black feathers leading into the forest. "It's just the locals trying to spook us," Brian argued, tossing the satchel aside with a huff. But Melinda couldn't shake the feeling that their family was being watched. Jack said nothing about the footsteps he sometimes heard outside his window at night, or the flickering shapes he glimpsed between the trees during the gray hours of dawn. He didn't want to upset his parents. The morning they found clawed footprints etched deep in the earth near the porch, Jack wouldn't stop trembling. The prints didn't belong to any animal Brian recognized. 3 long, spindly toes, each ending in sharp grooves like talons, trailing off into the dense undergrowth. Melinda urged Brian to take the family into town for the day, to clear their minds. Instead, curiosity got the better of him. "Come on," Brian said as Melinda hesitated on the porch. "We'll get to the bottom of this together. It's just some wild animal, I'm sure." Jack clutched Melinda's hand tightly as the family followed the tracks into Thornwick Forest. The forest darkens. The deeper they ventured, the less the air wanted to be breathed. The sun above dimmed to a pale smudge behind heavy clouds, and the temperature dropped with every step. Moss clung to the gnarled limbs of trees, twisted and reaching like the hands of the long dead. Jack walked in silence, his small fingers wrapped hard around Buzz. He felt the unease first, the soundless absence where birdsong should have been, the blurry haze that seemed to weave itself between the trees. "Mama," he whispered, "I don't like it here." "We won't go far," Melinda promised, though her voice carried none of the confidence to match. They should have turned back when the fog rolled in. It wasn't natural mist. Its edges clung low to the earth, rolling unnaturally fast and thick until it swallowed their footprints. It stank faintly of decaying leaves and something sharp like rusted metal. It was Melinda who realized Jack wasn't with them anymore. "Jack!" Her heart lurched in terror so quick and sharp it nearly knocked her off her feet. Spinning wildly, she shouted his name louder, each cry more desperate. "Jack! Where are you?" Brian grabbed her arm. "He's close," Brian said, though the tremor in his voice betrayed his words. "He's probably just hiding." The fog grew thicker and their shouts were met only with silence. Jack, now isolated, heard the voice again, softer than before but clearer. "Jack." And then he saw him. The Juju Man stood beneath an enormous tangled oak. His long, tattered coat billowed through no wind dared to fly here. A wide-brimmed hat cast his face in shadow save for a grin too wide, too sharp to be anything but wrong. Blue-black feathers and bones hung clinking from his gnarled staff, and his black boots sank effortlessly into the moss beneath him. Jack froze, trembling, unable to break the monstrous gaze of those empty, gleaming eyes darker than any shadow Thornwick could conjure. The Juju Man tilted his head slowly, that grin of jagged teeth stretching wider. He took one deliberate step forward. "Run if you like," he rasped, his voice dry and cold. "The forest knows you now." It was enough to break Jack's freeze. With a strangled sob, he turned on his heel and ran, the deep, dragging echo of the Juju Man's laughter rising behind him. Transformation. Brian and Melinda Quinn were dragged through the soupy, rotting fog as if by invisible claws, heels scraping ragged trenches in the gravel and gravel splinters gouging their skin. The Cameron's car lot was a place where even the shadows writhed and conspired, lanterns casting diseased pools of light that revealed only decay. Hoods spotted with old blood. Chrome twisted into leering faces, rust eating everything in slow, hungry bites. The air was iron cold, thick with the stench of burnt oil and something far older. Old bones and spoiled flesh. They shuddered as the Juju Man appeared, gliding over the ground rather than walking, his tattered cloak billowing as though underwater. Every movement made the trinkets and bones on his walking stick rattle like dying breaths. His hat brim hid all but a mouth far too wide and teeth too many, unsettlingly white against the dark. His hollow, lidless eyes glowed faintly, a rotting moon's reflection in a stagnant puddle. "Welcome to my workshop," he hissed, voice oozing from everywhere and nowhere. "Tonight I make my art." The ground pulsed and the dirt split with a low moan, belching forth slick tendrils of black sludge. The slimy roots slithered up Brian and Melinda's legs, puncturing cloth, freezing skin to bone. They fought, screamed, howled, but the tendrils pressed tighter until every cry was cut off in strangled gasps. The cursed earth seemed to feast on their dread. Every time Melinda sobbed, the fog around her thickened, pressing closer, curling into her mouth and nose. Their bodies jerked as the Juju Man began his ritual. He chanted in a language that sounded like knives scraping bone. The tendrils coiled tighter, snapping limbs at strange angles, wrenching Brian's arm backward until bone split skin with a wet, cracking pop. His face was contorted, veins bulging, eyes rolling in terror as the flesh along his arms and chest began to peel away, receding in sickly ribbons to reveal glinting metallic bones sprouting through muscle. It wasn't a clean change. It came in spasms and fits with splashes of blood that sizzled as it hit the ground, absorbed immediately by the cursed lot. Melinda screamed as her hands melted, finger by finger, skin and sinew fusing into a molten slurry before forming into a grotesque wrought iron shape. The transformation crawled up her arms, sharp metal points erupting from flesh with wet tearing pops, the nerves still alive and screaming. Her mouth locked open in a rictus of horror, jaw freezing as her cheeks blistered, then cooled and hardened, fusing into sculpted chrome. Her eyes, wide and pleading, froze mid-tear, glassy and unseeing as tears became beads of quicksilver, rolling down her metallic face. Brian's voice withered into metallic screeches. The sinews in his neck twisted into braided cables. His heart was visible for a single, agonizing moment, beating violently against the steel, encasing it before stopping altogether. The horror was not brief. Brian and Melinda remained aware, wailing wordlessly even as their bodies warped, melted, frayed, and then snapped into the precise, grotesque visages the Juju Man desired. The Juju Man knelt, dragging a wickedly barbed chisel across their now solid forms. Each rune he gouged and sparking with a terrible, hungry red. The symbols twisted on the metal, twitching like living things feeding on the parents' lingering agony. The lot itself seemed to vibrate with joy, every car shuddering in the gloom. When he finished, what was left bore the faintest traces of Brian and Melinda, just enough for anyone close to feel an ice-cold shiver of familiarity before dread set in. Brian was now a warped falcon forever frozen mid-scream, Melinda an anguished siren whose open mouth warned silently of eternal torment. The Juju Man wiped blood and oil from his hands and smiled wider, standing like a conductor after a triumphant symphony. "The world will remember your pain," he whispered. He mounted the ornaments on the battered cars, the lot swallowing the last echoes of their suffering. The fog licked the chrome, sealing the curse with a hiss, and all around in the restless dark, their muffled, inhuman howls would forever haunt any who dared venture near. Jack meets the Juju Man. The forest loomed around Jack like a silent coliseum, the ancient trees creaking in the faint night breeze. Their trunks, gnarled and twisted, seemed to lean inward as if conspiring to trap him. Mist crept low along the forest floor, curling around his sneakers with cold, damp fingers. His breath came in short bursts, the sound too loud in the oppressive stillness, and he regretted every step that broke the brittle carpet of dead leaves and twigs beneath him. It was as if the woods themselves were alive, listening. Jack didn't know how far he'd run. After seeing his parents dragged into the fog by something he couldn't explain, something tall and impossible, he'd bolted into the black void of the forest. His chest burned, his legs ached, but he didn't dare stop. Something had followed him. He was sure of it. He couldn't see it, not clearly, yet the soft crunch of leaves behind him told him he wasn't alone. He stumbled over a hidden root, falling forward onto his hands and knees. Mud clung to his palms, cold and sticky. A rustling echoed just behind him, and panic surged through his chest like wildfire. Without thinking, he scrambled back to his feet and ran again, deeper into the shadowy labyrinth. The air grew heavier with each step, thick and damp, making it hard to breathe. Shadows played tricks on his eyes, and the mist ahead seemed to shift and writhe unnaturally. The whispers began then, soft, almost melodic, threading through the trees. Jack froze, his heart pounding in his ears. The voice was low and raspy, like wind through dead leaves. It said his name.
Jack.
He spun on his heel, wide-eyed, but the darkness offered no answers. His breaths came quick and uneven, his pulse hammering in his throat. "Who's there?" he called, his voice trembling, breaking in the silence. The whispers came again, louder this time, circling him. His name repeated over and over, layered and distorted as if a dozen voices spoke at once. He turned in frantic circles, clutching the thin branch he'd grabbed earlier, though he doubted it would be of any use. The oppressive weight of eyes watching him grew unbearable. Then the whispers stopped. Jack stood frozen, his every muscle screaming for movement, but something locked him in place. Above the muffled silence, he caught it, the sound of footsteps dragging through the mud, slow and deliberate. It was coming closer. From the mist, a tall figure emerged, and Jack's blood turned to ice. The Juju Man. His silhouette was monstrous, stretched unnaturally tall, his wide-brimmed hat hiding most of his face save for a sliver of pallid skin and a mouth that stretched into a grin too wide for anything human. His gnarled walking stick, adorned with hanging trinkets of bone and feathers, clinked softly as he dragged it through the mud. Shadows seemed to cling to him, darkening the space around him despite the faint silver glow of the moon filtering through the canopy. The Juju Man made no move to follow, his echoing laughter chasing Jack deeper into the forest. "You can run," he called, his voice carrying through the trees, "but the forest is mine." Jack didn't stop. Branches snapped against his face, thorns tore at his skin, but he pushed through, his lungs burning. Somewhere in the distance he saw it. A faint shimmer of light between the trees, pulsing like a beacon. It wasn't safety, not yet, but it was his only hope. The Juju Man's laughter faded, but Jack knew this was far from the end. The forest had marked him now, and nothing about this place, about him, would ever be the same. Escape. Jack wandered, lost and alone for what felt like ages among the twisted pines. The mists whispered and shadows pressed in on every side, but he pressed on, fueled by the memory of his parents' last cries. He was an orphan now, but he wouldn't become another ghost for the Juju Man. Near dawn, as hope started to wane, Jack emerged onto an old dirt track pulsing with otherworldly light. A wavering curtain shimmered across the path, its colors not found in any sunrise. Sheriff Lee found him there, lantern held high, face grave but determined. "Jack," he said close and quiet, "there's still a way out, but you have to trust me. The Cenobian gate, the shimmer, won't stay open for long." With the sheriff guiding him, Jack walked toward the impossible light. The sound of the forest and the memory of the curse pressed at his back, but each step carried him further from the grip of the haunted woods. As they crossed the threshold, the air changed, lighter and clearer, and the whispers fell silent behind them. Sheriff Lee squeezed his shoulder once. "You're safe now, son. Brierie has enough ghosts. You don't need to be one of them." Jack didn't look back. He'd carry scars and stories no one outside Brierie would ever believe. But as he disappeared through the shimmer with Sheriff Lee, the grip of the Juju Man and everything he'd lost loosened, and hope flickered at last. The Cenobian Gate. The air surrounding the Cenobian Gate was electric, thrumming with a low, steady vibration that pressed against Jack's eardrums and made the hairs on his arms stand on end. Known more enigmatically as the Shimmer, the gate was unlike anything Jack had imagined. Its edges pulsed and flickered like the fragile surface of a bubble, rippling every time the faint wind dared to move through the clearing. Colors Jack couldn't name, danced across its translucent surface, shifting in impossible patterns that made his vision swim if he stared too long. "Stay close, Jack," Sheriff Lee murmured, his voice a low rasp. His leathery hand rested briefly on Jack's shoulder, firm despite the tremor Jack could feel beneath it. The sheriff's usually gruff demeanor had softened since their flight through the woods. Now his expression contained something Jack had never seen before: weariness, maybe even guilt. Jack gripped his arms tight to his chest, still trembling from the weight of everything racing through his mind. Behind him, Brierie was silent, its cursed darkness stretching endlessly between the skeletal trees. He couldn't bring himself to look back, not even for a second. He couldn't risk seeing the forest moving or feeling the gaze he knew lingered somewhere deep within the ruins of his life. It wasn't fear anymore. It was dread. heavier than anything he thought he could bear. I don't know if I can, Jack stammered, choking on the taste of tears he hadn't realized were still slipping from his eyes. You can, said Sheriff Lee, kneeling so they were eye to eye. The lines carved into his face looked deeper here, under the glow of the shimmer's unnatural light. If anyone can walk through that thing and come out whole, it's you. You've already survived more than most. Jack nodded, but the words felt distant, thin against the roaring tide of his panic. The gate pulsed brighter now, the surreal light spilling out to stretch across the clearing. It wasn't just beautiful, it was alive. A soft hum emanated from it, rising and falling like distant breathing. It called to him, urging him forward, though its song was laced with an unspoken warning. Once inside, there would be no return. Sheriff Lee rose to his feet with a groan, his face darkening as he fixed his gaze on the shimmer. Listen, Jack, he said, his tone hard and uncompromising now. This thing will take you to a place where there will be even more dangers. You will find other shimmers, gateways that will lead you to countless destinations, and you'll feel sick, but don't let that stop you. This forest doesn't want to lose you, it'll try to keep you, but if you hesitate, if you stop— I won't stop, Jack interrupted, his voice small but resolute. He wiped at his face with the back of his sleeve, inhaling sharply to steady the chaos inside him. I can't stay here. That's what I needed to hear. Sheriff Lee reached into his jacket and pulled out a small JoJo flask. We made these for travelers like yourself. The glass gleamed faintly, its surface etched with symbols Jack couldn't name but somehow felt in the deep corners of his mind. Take this, don't lose it no matter what happens. Keep your head tucked down and just move forward, you hear me? Jack took the flask. I hear you, he whispered. The sheriff knelt again, gripping Jack's face gently but firmly, forcing the boy to meet his sharp blue eyes. You walk until your feet cross the other side. Don't look back, don't stop, and don't listen if it starts whispering to you. Just keep going. When you pass through and when you start to feel a little better, head to the nearest water source. Fill the flask and drink from it. You can only drink from the flask, nothing else. If you do, you'll never be able to leave that place. Jack nodded again, his knees trembling as he glanced toward the gate. The shimmer's light grew softer now, almost inviting, but something dark lingered in the periphery, a flicker of shadow in the swirling radiance. The Juju Man's grin flashed across his memory and his chest tightened. Whatever lay on the other side of that gate couldn't be worse than the horrors that waited here. Taking a breath so deep it ached, Jack steeled himself and placed a foot toward the shimmer. The humming grew louder, spiraling into something almost melodic. His pulse matched its rhythm, and for an instant it felt like he wasn't moving, but falling forward, weightless, into the unknown. The moment his hand brushed the glow, the world dissolved. Light and shadow collided in a cyclone of sensation. The air grew impossibly thick, pressing into him as though the entire gate were swallowing him whole. His feet no longer touched solid ground, but instead the absence of everything. No gravity, no pull, just an endless, suffocating suspension. His chest tightened, his breaths coming shallow and fast as the pulsing light surrounded him, pushing against his skin with an intensity that bordered on pain. The whispers began. They came from nowhere and everywhere, filling the endless space between the shimmering colors. Soft and terribly familiar, they spoke in his parents' voices. Stay, Jack, they murmured, full of an unnatural sweetness, achingly gentle. Don't leave us. You can still come back. His heart thudded violently. He squeezed his eyes shut, clutching the JoJo flask and repeating Sheriff Lee's words under his breath. Keep going. Don't look back. Keep going. The voices grew louder, insistent and pleading now, warping into something that no longer sounded human. Jack's hands trembled, his legs nearly giving out beneath him as he stumbled forward through the endless glow. He couldn't tell if each step actually moved him. It felt like the gate stretched on forever. Then a jolt, a pull so strong it yanked him forward as though unseen hands had grabbed hold of him. A sudden rush of air filled his lungs as he stumbled out of the light, landing on grains of desert sand. The world was different. A dull gray mist draped the sky, the air still but without the oppressive weight of Brierie's cursed forest. Jack lay still for a moment, retching and catching his breath, his vision blurring with tears. He didn't have the energy to fight anymore. The sky began to produce a strange rain as Jack continued to cry. A hand appeared in his view, rough and weathered but steady. Sheriff Lee's voice broke through the quiet. "You made it, kid. Now off you go. Fill your joe and get to moving. I got some sheriffing to do." Jack looked up at him, his chest hitching in relief and sorrow as he shook the sheriff's hand. This wasn't home. It wasn't safe. But it was free of the forest's shadows and the Juju Man's curse. For the first time in what felt like a lifetime, Jack thought he might have the beginnings of hope. The Haunted Tales of Brierie, Curse of the Juju Man, by Samuel Kelly.
A beautiful way to boost your brain. Give your mind a peaceful escape with Beetle Go puzzles. Did you know that solving puzzles can improve focus, reduce stress, and sharpen your problem-solving skills? It's a meditative activity that allows you to unplug and recharge. Our puzzles feature unique nature-inspired designs from stunning national parks, transforming your mental wellness routine into a work of art. Take a break from the noise and piece together some tranquility. Relax your mind and challenge your brain. Discover the collection at beetlego.com. That's beetle-go.com.
Beetle go, get up and go.
We've reached the close of another episode from Ellis Beetle Magazine Podcast, a place where creativity, storytelling, and nostalgia come together. If these reflections sparked memories or new ideas, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode packed with stories that celebrate the magic of imagination. Visit ellisbeetle.com for information about projects and features straight from our creative studio. And don't forget to stop by beetlego.com for a curated selection of camping and outdoor-themed products, while highlighting national parks, state parks, and recreation. Stay connected with us on Instagram. Find us at Ellis Beetle and at GoBeetleGo for a regular dose of inspiration and updates. Until next time, keep embracing your creativity and honoring the stories and experiences that shape you. Thanks for listening.